All right, everyone, what's going on? This is Cross, and today we are looking at putting together a build that has a very high to-hit chance, as well as providing a significant source of buffs to your party. So let's dive in and see what we come up with. All right, so let's hop right into D&D Beyond, and let's see what we come up with. This is a non-homebrew character, meaning everything you can find is within printed material. The next thing is we need to establish our goals, okay? So when I design builds, I tend to want them to be done or functioning by around level 8. So that is a constraint. And I want them to have some form of thing that they can do really well, okay? And for this character, we are creating an archer character. This is again going to utilize the hand crossbow, in which I have another video for that I made a few years ago. But for the most part, this is going to be a really different way of approaching it based on some of the stuff we have access to. So human variant is the race that we want. Now for languages and skills, I'm not really too concerned with what you pick there. It's your character. You pick your background and your skills and things like that. Just note, it's going to be a charisma-based character, okay? For the feat, we are going to pick crossbow expert. So for the abilities, we have point buy. We're going to get strength, constitution, and charisma. And you notice our constitution is now 16. Our charisma is now 16, but our strength is 15. Why wouldn't we want our strength to be 16? And wait a second, didn't you just say it was an archer build? Why is our dexterity an 8? Let me explain. We are going to take something that is going to solve this problem. It's going to be Paladin. Well, now I may have lost a few of you. This is just for level 1. We have to take Paladin for level 1. It just has to be. Again, proficiencies, whatever you pick. And let's go into equipment. And we want 2 martial weapons as our choice. We want a hand crossbow and a longsword. We can also do like a hand axe, an explorer's pack, and whatever option you want here. Add starting equipment. Excellent. So, we basically get through level 1 just by surviving. We just have to survive. We have our level 1 character, and basically we're just going to try and get by with a 16 AC. If you can get a little bit of gold starting out, and you can purchase a shield at this level, that would give you an 18 AC, and you should be fine enough to survive through level 1. Pick your skills accordingly, and we just need to survive. That's it. Just get to level 2. As soon as we reach level 2, we are going to take a level in Warlock. And at this point, with the Hexblade, hopefully now you guys can see where I'm going with this. We're going to pick our spells, cantrips. I suggest maybe an offensive option, just that has some sort of utility. Chill Touch doesn't allow someone to be healed for an entire turn. So if you want to disable healing or something, Chill Touch would be an option for you to do that. Otherwise, just take Eldritch Blast maybe. And then some sort of non-offensive cantrip, such as Minor Illusion, Prestidigitation, or something like that. You just want some sort of cantrip that you can utilize while you're not in combat, basically. As far as level 1 spells are concerned, there's really only 2 options here. We need Hex and the shield spell that we get through the Hexblade patron. We get access to shield. Perfect. So that's our Warlock spells. And now at this point, at level 2, we can go into our equipment and we can assign the hand crossbow as a hex weapon. And if you look, I was looking at the wrong one. Our hand crossbow now has a +5 to hit, where our longsword now has a +4. With our feat, crossbow expert, you can now use a bonus action to attack. So now at level 2, we have a safe 2 attacks. Action, bonus action with this single hand crossbow. The hand crossbow qualifies, because it's a one-handed weapon, to be fired again as a bonus action, assuming it's loaded. And all the loading property means is that you have ammunition. So this is why we're not using a shield, by the way, because by standard rules, you just need an open hand to load the crossbow. So every shot you'll use a hand to put ammunition into the hand crossbow and fire. If your DM allows you to do that while also holding a shield, well, your AC is also going to be extremely high. And at that point, there could be a little bit of frustration at the table because your character seems to have it all. But at level 2, having 2 attacks for 1d6 plus 3 piercing. At this point, whenever you want to, you can also cast a spell. You only have 1 spell slot at level 1. Comes back on a short rest though, but you can cast Hex if you want to add an extra d6 on a particularly hefty foe. 2d6 plus 3, and then a bonus action for another 2d6 plus 3. So you can potentially snipe down a target with that combination. Otherwise, save your spell slot for the shield spell just in case something comes at you and you just need to avoid the damage. So that's your strategy at level 2. Now let's move on. All right, so at level 3, we are continuing the Paladin. All we need to do here is pick our fighting style. We have access to the defense fighting style. It's going to give us +1 AC. It's our best pick for this level. Our spells that we need are at least Bless. You can pick Command, perhaps Cure Wounds. You can pick Shield of Faith if you wanted to, or Heroism is also potentially a good one. But the point is, being Paladin, you can change your spells every day, so you're not locked into these. But Bless is definitely one that you want to have on the back burner just in case, because you're primarily going to be using Hex for extra damage. But if you come across a target that has a significant AC, you may want to use Bless just to overcome like an 18 AC or something like that, just to get yourself over the hurdle there. From here, we are going to put another level in Paladin, and we want the Sacred Oath of Devotion. This gives us a Channel Divinity that adds your charisma modifiers to attack rolls made with the weapon. It also makes our weapon magical, and also gives us a light that emits off the weapon. Excellent. We only get one of those per short rest, but it is per short rest. You might be able to do it 2 or 3 times per day. It is a nice, at this point, your to hit can potentially be extremely high. Right now, at level 4, our to hit is +5. You can add another +3 with your Channel Divinity. That gives you a +8. And then with Bless, you can add another D4, potentially getting you to 10 or above to hit. Which means to hit an 18 AC, you only need to roll like an 8 or higher. You get your 2 attacks and a pretty high success rate on getting that. We are going to continue with Paladin. At level 4, we want another feat. At this point, we want Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter is going to open up our hand crossbow to the 120-foot range with the first point. We also ignore 1/2 and 3/4 cover. Now we can add 10 damage to the attack if we take a -5 penalty to the attack roll. Well, maybe you can start to see where I'm going with this. Normally we've been relying on a D6 on Hex up until this point, but 10 is definitely higher than we can roll on a D6. So now at this level, we can shift our concentration spell from Hex to Bless. We are already making 2 attacks per round, so at this level, everyone else is now getting their second attack, but we've already been making 2 attacks for a couple levels now. Everyone else is now catching up to our attack ratio, but we just now exploded our damage. We now have +6 to hit. We can add +3 to hit, and then we can add a D4 to hit. Essentially, between the Channel Divinity and Bless, that cancels out the penalty from Sharpshooter, which allows us now to take 2 attacks at a -5 and add 10 to the damage. So now we're doing 1d6 plus 13 damage 2 times. Effectively, our damage now, we essentially got the equivalent of another attack in our damage pool. That's what just happened. We're now going to take level 5 Paladin. Level 5 Paladin gives us extra attack. We are now attacking 3 times for those damage values. Excellent. At level 7, we are now level 6 in Paladin, and we get Aura of Protection. Now our Charisma modifier is added to our saving throws as well as to the saving throws of our allies. Level 7, we get Aura of Devotion. Now no one can be charmed that's around us. And the thing is by you being a ranged attacker, that means you're... Normally the Paladin is in the front line doing melee swings to get their smites off. And they're just generally not very good with ranged weapons. With this design, you're actually now providing that aura to your backline people, potentially more people in your party than you would normally be able to do, because they're not up in melee fighting the creatures. So this provides this aura to the backline, which is a very interesting concept to me, something that just kind of changes the meta of these auras a little bit. Level 8, we are getting an ability score increase, and we are actually going to go ahead and get our charisma up to 18. This increases the to hit normally, it increases the to hit off our Channel Divinity, and increases our damage by 1. So now we're level 9. This is what our level 9 looks like. Okay? Plus 12 to charisma save, plus 7 to wisdom saves. Our lowest save is plus 3. We have that in 2 areas. Constitution plus 7, strength plus 6. Plus 4 save to anyone within 10 feet of us, to just anything, and no one within 10 feet of us can be charmed. That's a lot of benefit to the party. Our attack is at plus 8 normally. On a lower AC opponent, you can throw Hex on the target for an additional D6 damage per hit, and on a higher AC opponent, you throw Bless on, and you get an extra D4 to hit. Keep in mind, you want to make sure that your Sharpshooter attacks can happen, so you may want to even just throw Bless on no matter what, just to get the extra plus 10 to damage. That means you're getting 1d6 plus 14 damage 3 times, with a very high chance to hit, because it's being offset so much. That's a lot of damage. That's a pretty good chance to hit. You're only sacrificing at this point basically a -1 penalty to hit. This is essentially where the build ends. It's fully functional now. So you just need to utilize your Channel Divinity when you need to, utilize your Bless when you need to, and just make sure you can get Sharpshooter to work. I didn't make a written guide for this one. For this point right here. This is the point of the build where everything begins to diverge like crazy. There is a stopping point right here on Paladin. If you wanted to stop, you could. And like I said, I try to make my builds end at this threshold. Level 8, level 9, or 7 through 9 is basically where I try to stop. So the build's done now. But where do you go from here? Well, you could take an extra level in Warlock and go ahead and get those invocations if you wanted to. You could continue climbing in Paladin And remember, every level of Paladin gives you 5 hit points that you can restore and lay on hands. It's going to give you a little bit more spells and stuff like that. But there's another thing that you can do at this point, and actually just take fighter. And the reason why you would want to do that is for the archery fighting style. We've been using a hand crossbow this whole time. So in one level, our to hit now went to +10. Our penalty from Sharpshooter is almost completely negated. That's at least that's half of Bless, right? +2. You could potentially get 4 on Bless, so that's the additional +2 that's on all the time. So you might be able to throw Hex on there a little bit more often now. You can just leave that first level of fighter, or you can go ahead and take fighter up to level 4. Get a martial archetype. I'm just doing 3 right now. And you can pick Battle Master, and you can get precision attack. Precision attack would mean that even if after all your bonuses, you would still get an additional +D8 roll. If you were to crit, you might want something like pushing attack to add an additional D8 damage, which means with the crit, you get +2D8. You might want another attack option like trip, but if you trip them, they're going to be prone and then you have disadvantage on the attack. But remember, you are a charisma-based character, so also if you wanted to protect an ally and add just a little bit more utility to your build, you can actually pick Rally. And as a bonus action, you can give someone a superiority die roll plus charisma modifier, which is currently +4. You could give them a little bit of temporary hit points just to stave off some sort of damage if you wanted to. This ability could also be, if you had like a rogue in the party, you could use Commander's Strike. If they dealt more damage with one attack than you dealt with one attack, which is very likely being a rogue, just give them an extra attack, or just give somebody an extra attack. There's a lot that you could do right here, and then take level 4 in fighter. Because you've already invested 3 levels, at this point you need the ability score increase 4 to charisma. We're now level 13. Our charisma bonus is now +5 with channel divinity. That gives us +17 to hit. With bless on a roll of 3 or 4, we are now over +20 to hit. We can sacrifice -5 for +10 to damage, which means our to hit is high enough that we are still +3 over a normal to hit range. Still getting the +10 to hit. We are still attacking 3 times for 1d6 +15. That is a significant amount of damage, and it's near guaranteed if you were to bless. If you wanted to hex, you would have the 2d6 +15 every attack, which is incredible. You have the utility surrounding you of the auras. You have the paladin spells also having 2nd level, where you can have aid. You always have Lesser Restoration, Zone of Truth. You can protection from poison. A lot of different things going on here. Just take a look at the saving throws. Okay? Your hit points, this is just average rolled hit points. Your extra constitution helped you get there. And we're level 13. This is around the time that a lot of people just assume that their campaigns are going to end. This is looking pretty good. All right, so to recap, we took a paladin build and turned it into an archer. We offset the penalty from Sharpshooter so much that we're still getting a net positive bonus to hit, even while Sharpshooter is active. I know that you can't use Divine Smite with a ranged attack. It is a sacrifice I was willing to make for the auras that you get in exchange, and applying those auras to a backline setting instead of needing to be in melee. The charisma bonus helps you with anything such as persuasion or intimidation even. So you can become the face of the group. Still, by relying on your charisma, the strength score is solely so you can wear heavy armor such as plate and still have a decent AC. Remember, you have the shield that you can use, the shield spell, as a reaction for a +5 to AC. You have Hex available to you for additional damage. You have Bless available to you for not only additional to hit for you, but 2 other allies, not only to hit, but also it increases your saves even further, potentially giving you, at level 13, a 19 plus to save, additional to the D20. So for those 20-something DC saving throws, all of a sudden, they're nothing for you. This build has high saving throws, high to hit, and a very reliable, just constant damage output. Now, one more thing. Remember that we said it was a 1d6 plus 15 is our damage. So I'm going to say it's about 3 on the die roll. That's 18 damage at can be near the 20 to hit mark. So you only need to roll a 2 on the dice to hit an ancient dragon. Okay? At 18 damage, you can, after an initial round of setup, you would need to use your channel divinity to enchant your weapon and maybe use a bonus action or something to curse the target. Remember, you have Hexblade's Curse available to you. So with a +5 proficiency, that is going to add an additional 5 damage per hit. We are now at 23 damage on this target. You can attack, action surge, 2 more attacks, and then bonus action attack on your following round. You just opened for roughly 115 damage. You're level 13. And you needed maybe like a 2 or 3 or 4 on the die to hit. That's not, you don't have advantage or nothing. It's just standard, okay? If you were to get any other source of damage, such as get your cleric to cast Holy Weapon on your crossbow on that first turn, that's an additional 2d8 on these 3 hits. Because you have a near guaranteed chance to hit, you could potentially sacrifice that d4 on the Bless. If you can reach them with Hex, you might want to do that. Sounds pretty good. All right, so that's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoy this build and maybe play around with it and see where you think improvements could be made. I just came up with it, so I haven't fully gone through and checked everything. But hey, if you enjoy this, you know, do the stuff down there, and we'll see you next time.